At boardrooms, looking at CEOs, are they feeling this new nationalism? Are they feeling a decreased emphasis on globalization? And is it affecting their decisions?
So, clearly feeling it. Affecting their decisions? Absolutely not. Companies, for the most part, are as ambitious in bringing their businesses globally as ever. In fact, most companies in the S&P 500, I would say, you talk to the person who works for them in Europe, he thinks they're a European domiciled company. These companies have gotten very good about figuring out how to operate against a current headwind of trade issues. And fundamentally, what they're doing is, instead of having exports from this country, they're manufacturing locally. That's not good for us. I think fundamentally, what the administration discusses and what anyone in Congress discusses as a goal is absolutely right. We need fair trade and we need to protect our workers. That said, that's something that 180 countries are also trying to do, and we can't be in a position ever to cede our leadership in leading that discussion.
So do you think a 20% tariff on Chinese steel imports is fair trade?
So I generally think tariffs, as we've seen often, becomes a race to the bottom. There are certain industries that certainly need protection, and you would do it with a scalpel, not with an axe. But importantly, making sure that we are not giving up our rightful position as leader in the framework from leader position, I think is important. And what you do see is every country trying to take advantage of this. Mexico trying to figure out how to get a trade deal with Canada directly, trying to figure out how to get a trade deal with China directly. It's one thing to change trade agreements, but it's nothing not to have them. And I think where we will get to, because I think it's good policy, and I think everyone in Washington will appreciate that and understand it, is how to have better trade agreements that are more fair and balanced in our direction.
Here's what I don't get, though, just to focus on the steel thing for just a second in a broader context, is that, you know, they're hammering down the steel imports and they're trying to revise the steel production, but that's an industry that's been dying for a while, and global exports are down anyway. So it's like he's picking an industry that doesn't materially make a difference. When you said yourself, it's also exports. You need the end demand to really jazz things
Alex,
up.
you raise a good question. It's a tough one, and you have to be sympathetic to anyone who works in an industry which is in duress, whether it's steel, whether it's coal. Clearly, technology is doing a lot to replace some of these jobs. I think we need a set of policies that protect these workers in what is a difficult transition. Everything from education to jobs training to investments in communities where, you know, which you would see in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, Ohio, clusters of new innovation. And I think the goal of protecting these workers is spot on.
It's not just the United States where trade relations at least have the potential to be disrupted. We're looking at Brexit right now. And the real possibility people are talking about of it there being no arrangement that would go back to WTO rules, is that affecting the way U.S. business or global business regards investment in UK right now? So
that's a great question. I think that the UK, with 45 million people versus the cluster of Europe with 600 million people, is on the losing end of that. Okay. That said, clearly it's a vibrant market and people will always make the investment. I think you raise a bigger question, though, David, which is the cost of doing business. That retards growth for every company. It's not that any company will do things differently. It hurts growth globally, decision making expanded, cost increased, time to market expanded. All of these are obviously difficult.
Okay.